Alliance, and we wanted to make sure that everyone was able to get access to the folks that have jobs on the line with respect to this proposal, going to be impacted by the stadium. We want to make sure that our voices are heard moving forward in this process. You'll hear today from our friends in labor on the waterfront, truckers, and I represent the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association, ocean carriers, marine terminal operators that do business here. We want to make sure as this process moves forward that our voices are not lost, that the people who actually invested in this waterfront, that have made it what it is today, third largest port in the state of California, have our voices heard, our concerns are addressed, and moving forward that no stadium and no housing moves in unless they've taken all of the impacts into proper account. And we do not believe that once they've done that, you'll have the project that the A's have been proposing for this site. We actually think the best place for a new stadium is the same place it's been for 50 years. It allows the city to invest in a team, maintain Major League Baseball's presence and successful presence in Oakland, but also keep our vibrant waterfront and have the best of both worlds. You do not need to move jobs that threaten our jobs. You don't need to relocate a successful port to LA, Long Beach, Seattle, Tacoma. That's where it's going to go. I'd like to welcome Melvin McKay from ILWU Local 10. Say a few words. Thank you.
My name is Melvin McKay, president of ILWU Local 10. We've been fighting this conjecture since 2012, when Joeen was the mayor. We told her, no stadium on the waterfront. Now the Oakland A's want to continue their fight. They tried it at Laney College, they failed there. They're going to fail here. One of the things we are going to do is protect the jobs that we hold today. We have no ground to give up. This is like Indian ground, this is sacred. You cannot get another waterfront nowhere in Oakland opposed to Howard Terminal. There's not one, okay? This yard is Maritime yard. It's for maritime use only. Okay, the truckers that use that yard today come into our terminals to get containers to bring out for the brothers and sisters coming down the highway. This is where you're congested. We curtail congestion. Okay, we utilize the work that we have, the yards that we have, all over here. We're not ready to give up. We don't want to see housing on the waterfront. We don't want to see hotels on the waterfront. We don't want to see a circus yard on the waterfront. This is where we make our living. These are blue-collar jobs, and we're here to stay. We don't have room to give up, none whatsoever. When you talk about a baseball stadium, 50 years ago, the Oakland A's went over on Hagenberger. They dug a hole in the ground, built a stadium there. They moved out Whitefront, they moved out Home Base, they moved out Malibu Raceway. They tore down the houses on 98th Avenue, called eminent domain, just so they could have egress and access to the stadium. They want to do the same thing here in Oakland. They say that there's no residents down here in West Oakland. There is. One of the things I can tell you guys, we do not have room, okay? They cannot build any homes here on the waterfront, okay? The residents of that waterfront will say, hey, we're making too much noise. They have to go, meaning us. There's only one berth here, and we're prepared to fight for it, which is Howard Terminal. We sent a letter upstairs to two of the port commissioners, Andreas Clover and Corbono, asking them to recuse themselves from the vote today, hoping they do so. Number one, we feel as though it's biased. Anytime that you can continue talks and listen to the A's talk about we'll give you $100,000 to start any kind of investigation, we'll give you $200,000 so we can do whatever we need to do for the waterfront. Money roots. We're here to stay. Like some people said, they're new here, but we grew here. This waterfront's been here 100 years. We're not able to give it up right now. Right. Thank you. Right. Dr. Clarence Thomas here. ILWU! 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 ILWU!
My name is Clarence Thomas. I'm a third-generation Longshore worker, retired. My family started working on the waterfront in 1944. I'm here today to speak about something that hasn't been brought up thus far. Why are we here today? What's the real reason? When we have the overseers of the third busiest port on the West Coast that is responsible for maintaining Maritime, but is willing to give it up for privatization. What that tells me is that they're in financial trouble. And they're willing to make compromises with the economic engine of not only the Bay Area, but for the entire Northern California region. Let's just take a step back for a moment. Would we be having this conversation 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It would have been absolutely ludicrous for the idea of building a baseball park, the stadium, here at the port. In China, where they are engaged with Belt and Roads, where they're developing their infrastructure with modern ports, and here we are building a baseball stadium at a port. It is absolutely ridiculous. And to prove to you how bad it is, when longshoremen go to work, we see signs that say there are known carcinogens on this property because of the particulate matter, otherwise known as soot, that emanates from the port. But yet, the port is proposing building housing at a place that remits particulate matter? It's ludicrous. And not only is it ludicrous, they're also trying to change the whole regulations of infrastructure and tidelands. You cannot build housing here. But the big money, this is the perfect storm. Billionaire wants to build a stadium, Port of Oakland's in financial trouble. And they are willing to sacrifice the goose that lays the golden egg to try to save themselves. We say no to the ballpark, no to building condominiums. These are not going to be condominiums for working people. Let's face it. Those are going to be condominiums for people to watch a baseball game. And when they begin to complain about nuisance from soot and noise, that's going to put pressure on the shippers to leave. This is a terrible plan, short-term gain, long-term pain for the economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
ILWU, 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 ILWU,
The building trades are going to be supporting it. I want to counter that.
You can counter it. Yes, you may.
My name is William F. Dow, ILWU Local 6, member of the Northern California District Council of our union. I've been in the ILWU since 1956. I came here before containerization and worked hard on the docks and seen how the area has changed with containerization and how it took out the other piers in San Francisco and Alameda and that were handling that because of many different areas. But the danger from the A's putting in condominiums and the first thing that the people are going to do is complain about the noise and the shipping and the traffic, and all that was brought up before at this. And it's going to hurt this area because once they take, pardon me, I'm not very good at public speaking, but my point is that once they take port designation off of a pier, it's lost forever. You can't afford to do that on this waterfront. Thank you very much.
My name is John Ryman. I'm the retired recording secretary of Carpenters Local 713, and I've lived in Oakland for 50 years, most of it in the area that used to be called Funktown. And I worked on Pier 39 when they built it, and I saw what Pier 39 did to the Port of San Francisco and to all of San Francisco in general. That was the start of the massive gentrification of San Francisco. And what the ballpark is going to be over here is the Oakland equivalent of Pier 39. And it will destroy the Port of Oakland, and it is part and parcel of destroying Oakland as a working class town. And like I say, I've lived here for 50 years. And we should also remember that the owner of the Oakland A's is a major real estate speculator in San Francisco. He's played a big role in gentrifying San Francisco. That's what he tried to do when he tried to build a stadium across the street from Laney College, which would have destroyed Laney College. Now he's at it again. We beat him over there at Laney College. We're going to beat him here. We're going to keep the unions, and we're going to keep what remains of Oakland as a working class town.
Good afternoon. My name is Trent Willis. I'm the business agent for the International Longshore Warehouse Union Local 10. And I'm not going to repeat everything that the previous speakers have talked about. It's obvious the reasons why we don't want this project to go forward. I just want to specifically state that we're in a position now that we were in back when the ballpark was built in East Oakland, where there were numerous people in the community that had to vacate from their homes. We had speakers talk about eminent domain, and it just seems like when big business and rich people want something done, that all of the rules and regulations and guidelines are bypassed so that big business can get what they want. And we have working people around here. This has always been a working town, Oakland, California, a union town. And my family's been on the waterfront since 1944. We in the union and our local have been expecting to work out our lives on the waterfront like our ancestors did. We did not expect big business to come into our community and start eroding our structure from which we work under. If the hotels and the ballpark are allowed to be constructed here, it's obvious what's going to happen. You have the residents of West Oakland who were already affected by the pollution, the smoke, and the harmful toxins in the air from which come from this port anyway. Our union has gone a long way into fighting with the public to clean the air around here in this area, because we're always with the community. And now you have big business wants to come and construct a stadium here and hotels and things like that, which is going to run our industry out of town, because you're not going to have people who are going to come here and spend $5,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment to smell soot and smoke and the things that come from the waterfront that are going to affect their breathing. So something's going to have to give, okay? And when you pit poor people against rich people in this country, a lot of times the rich people went out because they can pay people off to get what they want, okay? The A's organization is an example of that. Big business, big money wants to come down here and take over the port and start the erosion of which working people need to have around here. We need to have a viable port for us to work and to make a living. Also, we need a viable port to bring in goods for the community here. So with that said, the ILWU Local 10 is absolutely against this project, building the A Stadium here. It's the site that the A Stadium is in now is a viable spot for them. You got transportations next to the freeway. You have the BART there for people to ride BART to go to the games. It's in a perfect area for the A's to play in. This area here is going to displace people. Why would we want to move a team from a viable area to an area where people are going to be displaced? Most of the time, those people being displaced are poor people, working class people. Okay, so this is the real crime about moving the A Stadium here to the waterfront. All right, thank you.
Hey, ILWU! ILWU!
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Wright, Local 10 business agent, ILWU, and I would like to highlight the importance of keeping this transportation hub, this world-class port, operational and competitive. We live in a very competitive environment, and if we don't continue to grow and thrive as a port, we will die. And we're talking Greater California's economy. If you look across the country, manufacturing has been shipped overseas. This country has been hollowed out by big business trying to turn a quick buck, and this is another case of it. If we don't continue having this port run at optimal levels, the whole economy for Northern California, you're talking about agribusiness, trucks, manufacturing, your retail, will suffer. We need to make sure that the linchpin for the port isn't pulled. If you put housing here, we know, and the A's will say they're working with us and they're discussing ideas, but they need to guarantee that if they put something here, then nothing else happens. But they can't, because we know the neighbors are gonna go. If the industry is gonna go one by one, and the truckers will not be able to get in and out. You cannot mix baseball game traffic with semi-trucks. Can't happen. And to emphasize that point, I'd like to bring up Andy here.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Andy Garcia. I'm chairman of the board of GSC Logistics. There are over 6,000 to 10,000 drivers who come into this port every day, working over 24-hour periods, same as our brothers in the ILWU, to put a stadium in the middle of an assembly line for services. Because what we do here is, this is an assembly line of services. We got ships coming from all over the world. We got trains over a mile long coming in and out of the city of Oakland. We have truck drivers coming in 24 hours a day. We have the ILWU working 24/7 every day, and they want to put a playground in the middle of an assembly line for services. That is ludicrous. The jobs of Oakland belong to the people of Oakland and to the board commissioners, even though they are being ratified and they're being appointed by the mayor to stand alongside of the working men instead of standing alongside of the rich men, standing alongside of the youth and the poor of Oakland instead of standing alongside of the prophet of the age. There's no reason to put a stadium in the middle of a workstation like the port is. And it is shameful. It's shameful that the mayor is approving and going along. You know, this is not a case of eminent domain only. It is a case of imminent abuse of the working people of Oakland. Thank you very much.
My name
When I
is.
say union, you say fight. Union, fight. Union, fight. When I say people, you say fight. People, fight. People, fight. When I say local, you say 10. Local, 10. Local, 10. Local, 10. 10.
All right. My name is Keith Shanklin. I'm the president of Local 34, and I'd like to thank you guys to come down to hear the other side. We always hear the side of greed. Right. But what about the side of the people? Have anybody taken a chance to go down to West Oakland and poll the people and see if they want thousands of trucks in the area bringing in soot, if they want thousands of trucks bringing in gravel, thousands of trucks bringing in pipe, rebar to try to build a stadium? Anybody ask them what they want? Nobody went down there and said, do you want this? They already have the perfect stadium out in East Oakland. All they got to do is put that $1 billion to work out there and leave this down here alone. This area here is for the people of Oakland. If we wanted a stadium down there, we would have asked for a stadium. We didn't ask for a stadium. I live here in Oakland. Okay, I'm a resident. I would want to be affected by this, both by work and by building something down here in West Oakland. Okay, there is no infrastructure already down here. You have a perfect egress out there in East Oakland. You got freeway, BART, buses, bridges. You have Uber, okay? Amtrak, the airport. What more do you want? It's a perfect storm. You move down here, you have to bring all that down here versus chaos. Downtown Oakland will cease to exist once they start the stadium, because all the traffic and all the stuff that they need to build that stadium will cause people not to come down here, because nobody wants. Ask 18 people who got stuck on the gondola that they want to build for this stadium, will they ride another gondola again, okay? They said no. But that's how they're going to transport people back and forth across these railroad tracks. What about the people who go out there and have a couple of beers during a baseball game? What happens if one of them get hit by a railroad train? This is not the place for a stadium. Right. Stay in East Oakland where you have everything that you need. You want to do something with West Oakland? Build them a shopping center. Build them somewhere they can use, so that the people can utilize. Build something that the youth can do. A school, something. You close the school, but you want to build a stadium. Do something constructive. Thank you very much.